Republican Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison of Texas. Senator, thank you for being with us. I know it is very busy down there. Can you first just tell us where we are in this?
Well, I think there is a lot of looking for ways to solve this issue in a way that does cut spending. I disagree with the characterization that the Republicans would cave on taxes, because we're not going to cave on taxes. That's the worst thing we could do in this economic climate. We want our employers to hire people, and looking at bigger taxes is not the way to do that. What we want to do is get the economy spurred, and that means we've got to fix this fiscal situation.
I hope so, because it's looking very glim from where we sit here watching this whole thing. And you know, White House spokesman Jay Carney spoke earlier about a plan that he says they've laid some sort of foundation. If you would just take a listen for a second.
There are significant cuts, $1.5 trillion in cuts that everybody can agree on. Real and significant. An additional $200 billion in cuts that essentially we believe everybody can agree on. That's $1.7 trillion. We can do something even bigger and more significant. So, but I do not expect today a hallelujah moment.
No hallelujah moment. But do you expect those cuts and the Democrats to agree to those without tax increases?
Well, I'm hearing that those cuts that are being proposed really are not those kinds of cuts. Now, you know, that's going to all come out. But the Democrats have laid down that you have to have tax increases for any amount of cuts, and we don't think that that is the case. In fact, I'm looking now at what the Gang of Six is doing in the Senate. It's a bipartisan group, and it's Democrats and Republicans that are coming together on significant cuts, and I'm encouraged by that, and I think that is beginning to bubble up as one of the ways that we might be able to put something together, where there would be a bipartisan, bicameral group in Congress that, without the president, but would come up with a level of spending cuts that we would be satisfied with. And the way you increase revenue is by spurring the economy, the old-fashioned way. Right. And I think that that could be done, and I think that both the Democrats and Republicans are now looking at what can be done on entitlements, because you can't really make the significant 10-year commitment to get our house in order without looking at something on the entitlements.
You know, your state is a perfect example. You have very low taxes, increased jobs, businesses are coming to your state. You wonder why Washington isn't trying to learn lessons. Instead, they're just name-calling, they're squabbling. Calling Eric Cantor childish I mean, this is not helping the situation at all.
No, but I do think that the states that have no income tax like ours, and good, solid regulatory environment that people know what the regulations are and they can live with them, and right to work laws, those are the states that are doing well. And I think the federal government could take a big cue from good tax policy and smaller government mentality. And I think that's what the Republicans are standing for, and I think they're doing it in these talks. And I'm thinking that there's a lot going on now that would get us to a conclusion. Nobody wants to have no one wants to default, right. And I think that we're doing the things that would avoid that, but in a way that also sets in motion some spending caps that would make it a balanced proposition.
You should be in those debt talks, Senator. Did the statements from Moody's and S&P, the threat that we are going to lose our AAA rating, does that worry you, or is that just, you know, more political posturing?
You know, I think there's a lot of political posturing, and I think the echo chamber, the Wall Street and the Moody's and Standard & Poor's saber rattling, the president talking about Social Security recipients not getting their checks in August, that's ridiculous. Right. Exactly. There's a Social Security trust fund that's separate that could provide those payments for several years if we did nothing. Of course, we don't want to do nothing. We want to do the big things that would be responsible responsible. But I think the message that needs to come out of this debt ceiling issue is that we are going to cut spending, we are going to live within our means, we are going to change business as usual in Washington, and I think that would calm the markets more than responding to the saber rattling of Moody's and Standard & Poor's. I just think we've got to be fiscally responsible and show the world that we're going to pay our bills and we're going to live within our means.
We most certainly are going to try, that's for sure. I have one quick question for you, changing the subject on you. You're a ranking member of the Committee on Commerce, Science, and Transportation. We scuttled our shuttle. It's not going up anymore. Should we be spending money on space travel? I mean, my kids should want to be astronauts, shouldn't they?
Oh, absolutely. It would be eating our seed corn to abdicate our preeminence in space. Right now, we have gotten our national security preeminence from satellite-based systems, laser-based systems, communication systems, that we can't cede that to other countries that are building up their space capabilities. We've got to be strong in making sure that we spend every dollar wisely, but to walk away from the enhancements to our economy that NASA has given us would just be unthinkable. Yeah. And so I am going to always push for responsible space capability on the American power. That's what we ought to be looking for.
And again, we got to get you in those debt talks. Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison, thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
All right, what do you think?